I worked at the International Criminal Court from 2009 to 2012. The International Criminal Court was created in 2002, so it's a fairly new institution with lots of challenges ahead. My job was to help the judge handle the numerous evidence the prosecutor and the defense had collected about the crime. You must keep in mind that the judges don't know anything about the situation. They learn it through the hearings. As I left the court, I was convinced that the court needed to build new intellectual tools to help her grasp the facts better. And that's why I continued with Franklin Bovici to try and explore new devices that would help the judges better understand the case.
Because the global planet is not only about free trade or global exploitation of resources of the planet, but it's also about the possibility of a global justice. But of course, it raises also other issues, which mean that how to make this justice really international, because in every area of the planet there are different practices, social practices or legal practices. It's important to compose an international justice from these different practices and not to impose one practice over the other ones. In order to tackle this issue, we decided not to stay on the level of general ideas or theories, but to go down very deep on the everyday practice of the judges of an international court. If judges or legal practitioners have their own methodology to process all this material, they have their own, let's say, matrix. Without that methodologies or processes coming from art, visual art, from poetry, from music, from dance, from social sciences, would be helpful to extract more information, more data, more thickness from this material. So we set up installations or artworks which can be also considered as tools, as instruments for the legal practitioners, which means that they are fully artworks. They are exhibited in museums, in biennales like this one, but also in other fields, like the ICC. They can be used to process in a different way the very material of these international trials. That's why they can be both at the same time. Artworks, they are not stuck in one very local situation, and instruments at the same time.
Muzungu is a piece which gathers all the documentary evidence from the trial and excerpts from the witness testimonies who were heard during the hearings in The Hague. Every visitor is put into the position of a judge who has to discover a case he has never heard about. To help him make decisions, Frank and I decided to tag every items with specific words that will help connect the different evidence together and help the visitor draw his own story. Depending on his interest, he can either follow a chain of command or the itinerary of a given witness.
It could enhance the way judges look at the material and then the way they judge.